On June 14, 2018, then SEC Director of Corporation Finance William Hinman gave a high-profile speech where he declared that a token is not a security when it becomes, quote, sufficiently decentralized. But internal emails and documents show that senior SEC officials repeatedly warned Hinman that his speech wasn't true to the law and would greatly confuse the markets even more than they already were.
Well, it just so happens that our long wait is about to pay off. Over 18 months just to wait for the justice system to do its job. To the XRP Army, I believe we are now nearing the final lap, and all we have to do is wait for the judge to make her decision. From what's been happening in the recent past, the regulatory body has on several occasions unknowingly incriminated themselves. And that's why I believe we are going to win. And so will the entire cryptocurrency world. Brad Garlinghouse recently tweeted something that made perfect sense. Check it out. If it wasn't already clear, it should be now. Chair Gensler's laughable pro-innovation stance, as he said today, is exactly the opposite. What this also tells me is that the SEC is throwing lawsuits at the wall and hoping they distract from the agency's FTX debacle. It's embarrassing to watch an unelected bureaucrat flail like this to mask the fact that he and his agency don't have the power that he so desperately craves. No one is fooled. As always, welcome to Moneyside, your favorite crypto channel. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you get updates when we drop new videos. Don't forget to smash that like button. You can always leave a comment or a question in the section below. To bring you up to speed, Ripple has been in this battle now with the SEC for quite some time. Wish I could go into depth, but we've waited this long, 18 plus months. I don't want to overstep. Suffice it to say, Alderati and I believe they were well worth the wait. This all started with the Hinman speech, where the then head of the SEC declared that if a token is sufficiently decentralized, then it's not a security. Well, that made the XRP Army question the judgment that was made to file a case against Ripple, claiming the sale of unregistered securities. Most XRP enthusiasts and crypto investors in general took to social media to express their frustrations. Stuart Alderati has also been vocal about the proceedings, saying in one of his recent tweets, "It's been 5 years since Bill Hinman gave his infamous speech, and through the SEC's lawsuit against Ripple and 7 court orders, we can finally share what happened behind the scenes through the now public emails drafts of the speech."
Now, after more than 2 years and 7 court orders, we can finally share some of what we found in the Hinman speech documents. The SEC head of trading and markets warned Hinman that he was making up factors that, quote, go beyond the typical Howey analysis, as in not in the law, and that the speech could lead to not just confusion, but greater confusion on what is a security. Hinman ignored him.
If the network on which the token or coin is to function is sufficiently decentralized, and the purchasers no longer have a reasonable expectation that a person or a group is going to carry out essential managerial or entrepreneurial efforts, those assets might not represent an investment contract.
Eleanor, who's also been vocal about the Ripple versus SEC case, said in her tweet, "New from Hinman Docs, Laura Jarsula, an attorney in the SEC Gov's Office of General Counsel, pointed out that the issues surrounding secondary markets are extremely complicated and beyond the scope of this presentation. Further, we should discuss whether this presentation should discuss this level of detail about factors that appear to speak solely to personal use and consumption." Paul Grewal, the chief legal officer at Coinbase, had this to say about the current ongoing SEC lawsuits. "The regulatory gap, proof from the Hinman emails of what we've been saying to the Third Circuit, to Congress, and to the SEC itself, that the securities laws are incomplete when it comes to digital assets, that securities law aren't meant to rule over all digital assets, and that many digital assets are not securities."
The same official told Hinman he should tie his speech, quote, more closely and explicitly to the Howey analysis. Hinman not only ignored him, but deliberately created factors beyond those identified by the Supreme Court in the Howey case.
I wanted to just note a few things. This list is not meant to be exhaustive, but these are things that we look at.
The SEC's own general counsel warned specifically that it's legally irrelevant if someone retains a stake in a token and is motivated to take action to increase its value, and that Hinman should delete it from the speech. And once again, Hinman ignored them and said without any legal support that it was important to ask.
Has that person or group retained a stake or other interest in the digital asset such that it would be motivated to expend efforts to cause an increase in the value of the digital asset?
Both Trading and Markets and the General Counsel also disagreed with Hinman's belief that if a network was sufficiently decentralized, information asymmetries would no longer exist, noting that a network creator would likely have more information than a retail holder, using Vitalik Buterin as an example. They warned Hinman that by creating this, quote, other category and focusing on information asymmetries, he was exposing a regulatory gap that the SEC may not have the jurisdiction to fill. Again, Hinman ignored them.
As the network becomes more truly decentralized, the ability to identify a promoter or to make and someone that could actually make the requisite disclosures becomes in many cases difficult and perhaps much less meaningful.
On June 4th, Hinman wrote that he didn't see a, quote, need to regulate Ether as a security, and set up a call with Ethereum's co-founder Vitalik Buterin later that week to, quote, confirm our understanding. On June 11th, the SEC's own General Counsel advised against including any direct statement about Ether in the speech because it would be difficult for the SEC to, quote, take a different position on Ether in the future. The next day, Trading and Markets wrote that the statements about Ether were, quote, likely to create more confusion.
Stuart Alderati went on to comment saying this: an investigation must be conducted to understand what or who influenced Hinman, why conflicts, or at the very least appearances of conflicts, were ignored, and why the SEC touted the speech knowing that it would create greater confusion. And finally, Hinman's speech should never again be invoked in any serious discussion about whether a token is or is not a security. Unelected bureaucrats must faithfully apply the law within the constraints of their jurisdiction. They can't, as Hinman tried, to create new law. So, what should happen now? First, remove the speech immediately from the SEC's website. Well, the reality of it is that Hinman intentionally created confusion in the cryptosphere, and now the regulatory body doesn't know how to turn back the clock. More importantly, it seems someone who for some reason wanted clarity of Ethereum to be secure pushed for this speech. Certainly, the SEC is out of their depth here with crypto, and they shouldn't issue lawsuits left, right, and center. It seems they're trying to throw off the public so that no one remembers or points to the Hinman speech and the reason to doubt their actions. Garlinghouse went on to say, I won't use the fraud word. I'm not a lawyer and I don't know the precise legal threshold, but I think we can all agree that our government should act with integrity. The SEC, despite the industry asking for clarity, is actively approaching crypto in bad faith. Now the question of the century remains, is XRP primed for a massive bull trend? Since the SEC lawsuit currently seems to be in the favor of Ripple after Hinman's files were revealed? To answer that question, let's get a bit of technical work done and check out the XRP price action. LEB Crypto shares an insightful take on XRP's price action, stating XRP seems to be in the process of printing a hanging man candlestick reversal on the weekly, coupled by bearish divergences disregarding March's wick to 58, along with volume confirmation. Reversal back under the white dotted line is likely over the next 2 to 3 weekly candles. He goes on to say that in validation, weekly close over 58. That could potentially give this crypto the much-needed bull strength and push it to an even higher level. In other news, Warren Davidson just filed an SEC Stabilization Act to restructure the SEC and finally fire Gary Gensler. In his tweet, he says, U.S. capital markets must be protected from a tyrannical chairman, including the current one. It's time for real reform and to fire Gary Gensler as chair of the SEC. Statement. And if Gensler is fired, we expect that this coin will have a massive surge all the way to the top. What's even more interesting, we can finally get the clarity we need in the crypto world. Truth be told, Gensler is intentionally obstructing the crypto world from reaching its full potential. My question is, to what end? Is someone paying him? Please keep in mind, we're not a licensed financial advisor. All videos on this channel are intended for entertainment purposes only. You can let us know what you think in the comments section below. Let's have a conversation. As always, trade safely, guys, and always do your own research. Don't forget to like this video and please click on that subscribe button below. Be sure to turn on notifications so you get informed whenever we post our amazing content. Thanks again, and we'll look forward to seeing you on the next Money Side.